Thank you, Dylan, and thank you everyone for being here. What a joy it is to be able to present to you at my second Half Stack Vienna. I'm going to be talking a little bit about community stuff, and I'm going to just hop right into it. So earlier this year, my dear friend Jessica and I started a learning initiative called the Bad Website Club. And the objective of the Bad Website Club is to enable folks who are, either starting out or well into their web development journeys to let go of a little bit of perfectionism by camaraderie, by sense of like, you know what, we're not alone, we're doing our best, let's just push stuff out and have a good time learning. And this is something that has meant the world. And we try to exemplify that with the Bad Website Club itself, the Bad Website Club website itself. And it's just been an absolute joy. We've done streaming. Hold on. Do you know what? I'm being a little bit rude. I'm sorry. I should introduce myself. Hi. My name's Ramon, pronounce him. I'm originally from Chile. I've been living in Austria for, almost 2.5 decades. I am very happily living here, joining with communities. I'm a big fan and advocate for learning together, learning through, empathy, through, letting go of our egos, letting go of our hang-ups, and just recognizing that, hey, what can I do as someone who's been around for a while, showcase how much I mess stuff up. In fact, one of my hobbies include, spoiler for the talk, giving up on showing a demo 5 minutes before I'm supposed to go live. This is the second half stack where I do that. But that's enough about me. Let's talk about the Bad Website. I love what we've done, like especially the art that's been made for us. It exemplifies how much joy we want to put into our daily web development and like sharing with others. And of course, when you're learning with others, when you're sharing with others, you want to have a community. So we turn to Discord. I'm going to go ahead and do my best to define Discord, if I may. What started out as a platform for chatting about and, playing video games together turned into kind of a center for you to be able to host your communities and share these with others. Now, when it comes to Discord communities, and the Bad Website Club has one too, one of the first things that Jess and I wanted to do was from the very beginning, start with safety of others. So what we wanted to have, I know you can't, the text is pretty, actually it's not that small. Gosh, it's very small here. What we wanted to do was from the beginning say, cool, you've joined. We want to make sure that you've read the rules, that you've accepted the code of conduct, that you are going to act accordingly with it. So what we did, if you're familiar with Discord, you can have roles assigned to you as a user or as a member of a channel, or a server rather. And the role that would be automatically assigned to you when you enter our server is unverified. Right? So the plan was, cool, you enter, and then I'll just read out this part that says new members. Please note that joining with this server will assign you an unverified role. This is to make sure we're securing the server. Please react to this message with a green tick, and an admin, that's one of us, will verify you via bot. Spoiler, it used to be done by hand. If you've joined more than 24 hours ago and haven't yet been verified, please send one of us, i.e. the admins, a message. And you're probably seeing below that message what happened over time. If not, I'm going to highlight it here in this screenshot. Sure, at the beginning, going through the list and manually verifying users by removing this role was doable. But after a while, there were 323 people waiting to be verified. It became a little cumbersome. The way Discord works is that you see in the screenshot, here I'm getting the list of people who have reacted to my message, but I can't actually unverify them there. No, I had to go to the list of users in the server settings and then remove that unverified role there. What now? Of course, Discord is either a web app or a mobile app. It's also a desktop app. But if I wanted to do this with 2 places at the same time, I did need to have 2 tabs with Discord open, or have Discord open on my desktop and in my browser. And after a while, I have a flair for the dramatic, so I apologize. It was just a lot. And when you're doing manual work like this, where you're like checking names and like you want to make sure that you don't miss anybody, I started making mistakes and missing some people. And so I got a lot of the, hey, it's been 24 hours, I haven't been verified yet. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry, and all of that. So, and I'm sure we've all been there at some point in our lives, why not automate this? So we decided we were making a bot. And in case you're not familiar with it, a Discord bot is an application that lives in your Discord server that serves a couple of purposes. These include automation, what we're going to be talking about today. These include interaction, being able to have automated responses to your users, moderation, catching words and messages that you may not want to share, detecting code of conduct violations and that sort of thing, giving out information for upcoming events or that sort of thing, or even entertainment. Giving out links to videos, sharing music with your friends while you're doing some Dungeons and Dragons in your Discord server, and that sort of thing. So cool, how do we make bots? And that's what we're gonna talk about today. I'm gonna share with you the journey of how I came to be able to do one, and hopefully invite you, especially if you're like me and sometimes intimidated by things like this, to give it a try. Because if I can do it, any of y'all can. So there's 3 parts to a Discord bot. One is, of course, a registered bot online in Discord itself. Then you've got your bot code base, and then you've got a cloud deployment, that is where your code lives. So let's take a quick look at these 3 ingredients. What we're going to be using for this project is the Discord developer portal. Spoilers, there's Mr. Verify Bot. We're going to be writing our code with Discord.js, which is an API wrapper provided by Discord. And hosting is going to be done with Fly.io. If you haven't heard of Fly.io, I might be aging myself a little bit here when I say this, but it kind of feels to me like a new version of Heroku where I can just quickly push up my code and have something running in a container. It's just real quick way. And that's what I'm going to show you about how we made Verify Bot. So part 1, the Discord dev portal. The most important part when you're making a Discord bot is you need to tell Discord that you're a developer. So step 1, go to the Discord settings, go to advanced, tell it, I'm a developer. Cool. Now we can go into our Discord developer portal and make our new application. At the top right here, you're going to see a button that says new application. Go ahead and click on that, type in a name for your bot, and you're off to the races. Then you're going to want to grab your keys. So grab a token for your bot. Keep that in a secure, do not share it. It will be reset every time you grab it. So like if you go again to get it, it's going to be reset. I learned that the hard way. Then you're going to want to be able to give your bot abilities of stuff to do. This is a sandbox kind of environment where you need to give your bot explicit permissions to do certain things in your server. So for me, for example, what I want to do is have this be able to have a slash command, continuity from the previous talk, have it so that you can send it a slash command that says verify, and then it's going to go through all of the people who have reacted to that message with the green tick, and if they're unverified, verify them by removing that role. In order to do that, I was a bit lazy and I gave my bot administrator privileges. Word of advice, if you know what you're doing, definitely narrow that down to the permissions you need, because should something go wrong, you might not want to let it have administrator privileges. Not that anything has, but it's good to know. Next, we want to give it intent, which is Discord's way of being able to gate off certain access to events and legacy messages. And that's it. We're done with the registration part. Now, we're going to write some code. And the way we do this is from a template provided by Discord, which I should have linked. My bad. And the most important parts we're going to have here are going to be the index JavaScript file, and in the commands folder, the verify JavaScript file. Who loves boilerplate? I love boilerplate. Let's go through some boilerplate. So we're going to bring in all of our code from the Discord.js package, as well as bring in that token. Remember that key I mentioned earlier? We're going to put that as an environment variable. More on that later. Then we'll set up our client to be able to grab all of the files that are in that commands folder and turn those into slash commands. How are we doing so far? Excellent. Thank you for verifying. Next, we're going to loop through all of those command files and register a slash command for them. Boilerplate again. So loop, go through our client and set that command data name that is from the command itself to be that slash command. Next, who doesn't love boilerplate? How are we doing on legibility? It's kind of small, I apologize. What we're doing here is setting up our bot to be able to respond to these slash commands. And the good thing is, this is boilerplate, don't need to worry about it too much, but essentially what we're doing is setting it up so that if there's a successful response, we send a thumbs up. If there's not a successful processing of our command, we send a thumbs down. We good so far? I'm gonna need y'all, thank you. I'm gonna need y'all to stop me if something's like, no, be like, no, hold on, let's go back. Anyway, once we're ready, we can log in with our token and tell our console log, hey, I'm logged in. So that's the index file. Now let's get to the part where I actually wrote code. And that would be in the verify.js file. So what I did here was first set up a slash command builder that comes from Discord.js. Gonna set the name to be verify and the description to be replies with whether users are verified, which is going to have an async function that takes in the client itself, that is the Discord client itself, and the interaction itself to be able to process this slash command. I'm also grabbing a bunch of environment variables for the ID from the channel, the message, the emoji that I need, and the server ID. Good so far? Brilliant. Then I start hopping into the client and Discord API to grab the objects for each of these. So I've got my channel, that's my welcome channel. I've got my message, you know that message where I say like, hey, welcome to the Bad Website Club. Here, react here, blah, blah, blah. The guild would be my server, the reaction would be the green check mark, and the users is a list of users who reacted to that with that check mark. Shall I say it? Like, I feel like I just said a tongue twister. But essentially what I'm doing here is grabbing the list of all of the users that reacted with that green check mark. Next comes, I would say, the most resource-intensive part of this code, but it does boil down rather smoothly, in my opinion. What I'm gonna do is go through each of those users and grab their member object. You're probably thinking like, wait, what's the difference between a user and a member? Frankly, I'm not 100% sure, but that's what documentation is for. Essentially, the roles are stored on a member. So if I need a user's role, I need to grab the user's member and then grab that member's roles. Cool. Then I'm going to take a look at all of the members' roles and look for one that's called unverified. If I find it, I'm just gonna be like, hey, I verified this user, and remove that role from that member. And if not, I just do a bunch of, generic error handling, like, yeah, I don't know. Member not found. It is possible that a member will leave the Discord server before I verify them, which did happen, and that's my fault, and I'll explain why in a bit. At the bottom here, we've got, hey, I'm verifying users. So when I type /verify, it's going to respond by saying, hey, I'm verifying all the users. Give me a minute, please. I'm getting a phone call. I'm so sorry. Not now. Cool. So that's part 2. Now let's go right into part 3. And I'm going pretty quickly through this. It's a lot, but trust me, a lot of it was iterative as well. So let's talk about deployment. Let's go into Fly.io. We'll make an account. And once I've got Fly.io set up with my account, I need to install the flyctl tool onto my computer. This is a command line interface tool where I can interact with Fly and deploy my code online. We good so far? Let me put it the other way. Are we bad so far? Excellent, thank you. Cool, so once I've installed flyctl, I need to either log in or sign up, depending on whether you already have an account or not. And get this, from within the folder that my code base is stored, in the folder where my code base is, where my bot's code base is, all I gotta do is type in flyctl launch, and then it's off to the races. It asks me for an app name, what kind of, like if it's like a personal or an enterprise kind of thing, what region where we wanna set it up is, And then, and I love it when this happens, it's just gonna be like, hey, here's some new files. I've set up Docker and a TOML file and some Docker ignore stuff. I'm gonna be honest, my Docker is pretty limited, but if somebody's like generating Docker for me and handling it elsewhere, I am very happy. And I think it detects it based on the fact that it's very smart and notices that I've got a Node.js program running here. How are we doing so far? Oh, cool, thank you. So, remember the keys I mentioned? The tokens and stuff? Guess what, you can set those from the command line. So using flyCTL, that's a typo, that should be flyCTL. flyCTL secret set, and then you can set your environment variable and just upload it onto Fly, which is amazing. Once all of that is done, I can just type in flyCTL deploy, it'll do some Docker magic, and my app is live. Oh, thank you. So what you see here is the Fly.io dashboard where I can see that my Discord bot has been doing stuff. I've released it a couple of times because I debug by deploying. We'll get more into that later. And we can take a look at monitoring and other stuff, but who cares about that? Let's talk about getting it into my server. So let's go back to the Discord developer portal. That's surprisingly hard to say. Discord developer portal. Go to the OAuth tab, go into URL generator, and what I can do is, again, give it those permissions that I mentioned, and at the bottom, when you scroll down here, you're gonna get a URL. Open that URL in your browser, and if you're logged into your Discord, it'll be like, cool, hey, you wanna add this bot, huh? What channel do you wanna add it to? Select your channel, go into a channel, server. I keep mixing up the term server and channel. That happens to me all the time, apologies. What server do you wanna add it to? Select your server, go to a channel, type in verify, /verify. Back in Discord, we got output. And I don't have a screenshot of it running here because you probably saw from my code, I would be revealing the names of the people who were verified. So I'm just like leaving that blank to respect their privacy. But essentially, I can take a look here in monitoring back on Fly.io to see if people are getting verified, or, as happened a lot while developing this bot, what errors I made. So yeah, those are the three ingredients: a registered bot, a bot code base, and a cloud deployment. With all of that done, I can now automatically verify folks who enter my server, make sure that my server is secured, and keep everyone happy. And this is usually where this talk would end. However, after a couple weeks of this running, and I was getting some more messages from people being like, hey, it's been 24 hours, I haven't been verified yet, I discovered something. It was automatically verifying folks, but only the first 100 who verified. And you might remember from earlier, there were 323 people waiting. It took me a while to discover why this was. Turns out, and this is like for the Ramon in there in the audience who's like, oh, I'm gonna go make a Discord bot and get stuck on this. Turns out Discord's API's got limits. So you can grab only up until 100 resources when doing a query with the API, but that's okay. We got this. We're gonna change our code up just a little bit before we're ready to call it a day. So, do you remember that part at the very bottom here? This is the verify.js before I made this change, where I was fetching all of the users who reacted to that image, to that reaction, who reacted to that message. It was only grabbing the first 100. That was the issue. So, changed it up a little bit. Instead, I wrote a custom function here called fetch all users. Oh, y'all are gonna love this. Where, instead of just grabbing all of the users from a reaction, I would instead, and I know, like there's a while true loop here. Like we're in good hands here. What I did instead was, of course, limit it to 100, grab the ID of the last user that I grabbed, and then loop again, make another request and say, okay, but start from this ID. So what I was essentially doing was grabbing 100 users, then being like, cool, let's do another query for 100 from here. And let's get another 100 from here. I'm gonna get it further away from the microphone a second. And then another 100 from here. up until I either didn't have 100 or I didn't have enough users to verify anymore, in which case I would just be like, cool, we're done, we've got all of our users. Then I could go back to Discord, of course, flyctl deploy, very important to deploy your code, type in /verify, and y'all wouldn't believe how happy I was that this time it was significantly slower. So a lot of this seems pretty hodgepodge, but what I want to say here is the joy and excitement that I felt because, it worked. And this is just scratching the surface of what you can do with this kind of interactive bot. Because there's a ton to it, and probably y'all who are familiar with Discord have seen other bots do significantly more sophisticated things. For example, probably something I should have done from the very beginning, is instead of just typing in /verify and just going through a list of people, I could have had my bot automatically detect when a reaction came in and just remove that unverification. But you can do loads of other stuff, such as catch specific messages, when you want to do moderation and that sort of thing. And I also want to really recommend FlyIO's monitoring tools for the console log debugger in all of us, because it feels great. Now, I don't do a lot of projects like these, and I always get really excited when I do because I always remember that story, and I'm sure a lot of us have been there, where we're like, oh, we could automate something. It'll just, I'm going to save myself 10 minutes, and you spend 8 hours working on it. Testing is super doable with this. Don't be afraid, kind of like that spirit that I bring in from the Bad Website Club. Don't be afraid to just deploy and try stuff out, is my recommendation. Before I wrap up, I left this slide in because I wanted to give you all a demo of me creating a / command. This idea came to me this morning. Didn't work out. I'm sorry. I was going to demo to all of you creating a Discord command, but we'll just have to say that for another time. Also, as I was talking about this talk with some of my friends and attendees in this wonderful conference this morning, I'm still glad I did this, by the way. It does turn out that Discord offers verification out of the box. But to me, this was a great challenge. I had such a wonderful time doing it. And for me, the most important stuff is I was keeping my community safe and engaged. Friends, that's it for me today. Go check out Discord.js, FlyIO, and the Discord developer portal. I'd love to hear from you if you've made a Discord bot. Come talk to me. I want to hear about it. But that's me. I'll just say thank you, friends.